Even after you get away from all the news, you might feel like you have these thoughts that keep coming back into your head. In my head. So something happened. You turned on the news. You keep seeing it over and over again. They keep replaying these violent images. You start feeling shaken up. You start feeling insecure. Are you developing PTSD? What's going on? We just saw this happen recently with the tragedy that happened in Las Vegas. The newscasters, they needed footage of it. They wanted to inform people who were just tuning in. So we saw this across social media, live on TV. All we see are images of this tragic event replaying over and over and over again, but that's got to have an effect on our mental health, right? Does that lead to post-traumatic stress disorder? You may find yourself glued to these images, feeling like you can't escape them, feeling a little unsafe, feeling unsettled, feeling frightened, feeling like maybe you're a little disconnected from your body even, dissociating is what we call it. Even after you turn the TV off, even after you get away from all the news, you might feel like you have these thoughts that keep coming back into your head and you just start feeling irritable and you start feeling negative. Well, there's actually a name for this. It's called secondary traumatization or vicarious trauma, and this is something that people who deal with these situations regularly have to be cautious about. Vicarious trauma or secondary traumatization is what happens when we witness other people going through trauma or we witness a traumatic event. We maybe aren't experiencing a life-threatening thing ourselves, which is what trauma is. It's experiencing something that might be life-threatening, but we see it. And we see these images replayed over and over again on news and on TV. So does that mean that we might develop post-traumatic stress disorder? Now, this is actually something that's been studied, and according to research, watching images on television that are violent, watching violent media, they will not cause you to develop PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. But as I talked about, you might be experiencing secondary traumatization or vicarious traumatization, which is experienced by people who are often doing these things all the time, who are EMT workers, social workers who have to see child abuse, these kinds of things. So what is that and what do we do about it? Secondary traumatization, vicarious traumatization, it's simply witnessing something that was traumatic. And when you go through this, you start to develop symptoms of trauma. You become irritable, you start to have intrusive thoughts. These intrusive thoughts may even seem like flashbacks as you remember the images that you saw on TV. And generally, your thinking is a little bit off. You start to get a little bit more emotional as that irritation takes over and you can't think straight. Now, if you happen to be a doctor, an EMT, a social worker, or psychologist, anybody who's regularly exposed to these traumatic kinds of situations, there is a tool that you can use to measure if you're experiencing secondary traumatization, and that is called the Professional Quality of Life tool, also known as ProQOL, ProQOL. I will link to it in my description. This is a quick form that you can fill out. I think it's about 20 questions, and doing so lets you get an idea on whether or not you're experiencing these symptoms of secondary traumatization and whether that could be impairing your work. As I mentioned, this irritability and this decision-making impairment could affect your work, so you want to make sure that you're regularly checking up on your mental state. But for the rest of us, what do we do when we're experiencing this? And even when you're a professional, what do you do? Well, all of these symptoms that we're experiencing, they are manageable. They will probably go away on their own as the event that we've been watching goes away, whether that be a TV episode that we've been watching or whether it be a real-life terrorist event or something. You know, time goes on and things heal and we will get better, but there are some things we can do to try to get better a little faster. Well, the most obvious immediate thing that we can do is to remove that thing that's causing all of this stress in us. Remove the thing that's causing these trauma symptoms. So turn off the news, get away from that episode, stop reading about it, stop thinking about it, and find a distraction that will make you feel a little bit better. It'll also be helpful to remind yourself that your life is not in any immediate danger. Where you are, where you're standing or sitting right now today, you're okay. So keep reminding yourself of that. Combat some of those negative thoughts that are cycling through your head and remind yourself there are good things going on around you. There are good things that you can do today and you are safe. It's also helpful to talk about the things that you're feeling with people who understand you, people who will encourage you to keep talking, not people who tell you it's fine, don't worry about it, not people who tell you to stop thinking about it and that you're being ridiculous. Go and talk to people who are supportive. If you have a therapist, go see your therapist, but if not, get around friends, get around people who help you to feel safe, and do things that make you feel good. You know, if you have a soothing ritual that you do, maybe you take a warm bath, maybe you read a book, maybe you just go out and people watch, whatever feels good to you, get around some moving water, maybe listen to some soothing music. You know what's best for you. You know what's going to help you to calm down. Do that in these times. Turn off the news and go and do that. So can you develop PTSD from watching violence in the media, watching violence in videos, watching violence on TV? No, you cannot, but you can develop symptoms of stress and symptoms of trauma that will temporarily be there, and you can make them go away faster if you work on it. If you'd like to learn more about trauma mental health, I have over 250 videos here and I just keep producing them, so hit subscribe and hit the bell after you hit subscribe to get notified each time that I do a new video. My mission is to humanize mental health. If you want to help me out in that mission, you can do so over on Patreon, so head on over there, I'll put the link above. And if you've witnessed something recently that's got you shaken up, talk about it down below in the comments. Let us know what you're experiencing. Let us know if you've gotten over something like this before so we can all share our tips and learn from each other. Thank you for joining me once again in the woods as the sun winds down. My day is over. I'll see you around next time, everyone.